Knifedope. More dope. Come and get your figs. What's up, fuckers? Your boy's back with a fresh batch of dope. Knifedope. That's right, people. The hits don't stop. Got two knives today we're going to be taking a look at. I've had these for probably about a week at least, and they've just been sitting here. Normally, I don't even open up the box until I get ready to record, but that wasn't the case this time around. I ended up opening them, and I really didn't like them, you know, and so that's probably primarily one of the reasons why I don't open knives up first, because I was even contemplating just passing these along to the next reviewer in line, you know, because I don't know. That's just the way I fucking felt. But nonetheless, I figured I owed it to my people, you know, doing it for the culture. Also got an update for you guys on this fantastic knife. I was rather heartbroken yesterday when I realized that I was having severe lock failure issue, but I ended up taking it apart, disassembling it totally, and moving that lock bar over. You know, it was to come expected. This knife has gotten quite a bit of use, not to mention the thousands of times that I've flicked it open. You know, this is the budget knife. Granted, I spent more on the damn scales than the whole knife cost, but that's irrelevant. This is, it's just something that happens with liner locks. So I ended up fixing that, sliding that lock bar over. I'm sitting now at about 60%. And more importantly, we are locking up tighter than frog's ass. Wait a minute. Oh, I thought disengaged for a minute. I'm about to have a heart attack. Yeah, so this is one of my favorite knives from Kaiser for sure. This is a Matt Degnan design, and I can now comfortably start recommending it again. Mini Roach, baby. Okay, enough about that. Let's get to the dope. All right, we're going to go over both of these. But first, we're going to look at this one. This is the Nest Street. Now, they have a premium version to this knife as well as this version. This is the more budget-friendly version. This one comes in at $72.90. I guess they felt it was very important to add that 90 cents to the price. Kind of a weird price, if you ask me. But we've got this nice textured G10 scales, full-length stainless steel liners. We're coming in at 4.47 inches in the closed position. Now, this was designed by a gentleman by the name of, and forgive me for mispronouncing, but I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it right, Greg Wegrzicki. Yeah, Greg Wegrzicki. More commonly known as the Karambit maker. This Nest Street's actually inspired by the traditional Nestmuck knife. And you'll see that once we get the knife in the open position. We've got one form of deployment, which is these robust thumb studs. Plenty of room to open the knife up or to access those thumb studs. Snappy goddamn detent. She does fly out. Comes right back to the house. Fantastic action. Overall length on this is coming in at 8.05 inches. So full-size knife. Open back construction sitting on barrel spacers. We've got a folded over stainless steel pocket clip that is that inset? No, not inset, and has mushroom screws. And I'm going to talk more about this issue when we get to the next knife. But nonetheless, ergonomically speaking, it feels the hand rather nicely due to that curvature, therefore allowing me that full purchase. Now, the sharpening choil it's okay. You do have a couple sharpenings in there for sure. 154 cm is the blade steel, flat grind on the blade. We've got a nice little swedge there at the tip. Our blade stock thickness came in at 137 thousandths. It is riding on caged ceramic bearings. Weight comes in at 4.55 ounces. Let's go ahead and throw some knives for some size comparison. Basically, a little bit of knife flexing. You know how we like to do. America first, baby. Coming in hot, we got the Spyderco Native 5 in fluted carbon fiber S90V rendition. I tell you, that Native 5 is possibly one of the best knives. Well, I can tell you, it is one of the best knives Spyderco offers, but it's one of the best knives available, period. So we can see that the Nest Street is bigger than that. Next up, more American vibes. We're going to go with this one, the Manix 2. So we can also see that the Nest Street is bigger than that. Let's do a couple more. shall we? I also wanted to give you guys some knives that were comparably, or rather in that same price range, and ones that I feel are better. And this is one of them. We're talking about the Vosteed Nightshade. I would argue that this is possibly I'll tell you what, this is my favorite knife that Vosteed makes. So much so that I would love for them to do a extra large version with a crossbar lock. Tell me you ain't feeling that. But nonetheless, the Nest Street is bigger than that. Next up, another fantastic option in this price range. One that if you've never tried, you're missing out. Look at this action. We're talking about the Towser K. This is the OG version. 154 cm blade steel, multi-row bearings. And this is actually a little bit smaller than the Nest Street. I think you can get these knives for like 60 bucks, people. So if you've never experienced any of the Towser knives, you're really doing yourself a disservice. But the Nest Street, like I mentioned, is bigger than that. Let's do two more. God damn it, two more. This next one is possibly one of the best budget knives this year, or I tell you, it is one of the best budget knives available this year. This is the Miguron Mayoro. Mine, of course, has these fantastically contoured G10 scales, which were donated to the channel. Actually, the whole knife was, courtesy of Hungry Bird, otherwise known as Al. So big shout out to him. And we can see that the Nest Street is bigger than that Mayoro. Last but certainly not least, a recent acquisition coming from the budget realm. One that I really am enjoying. I think this is possibly, in my honest opinion, one of the best knives that QSP has produced this year. And this is the folder version to the Canary. And we can clearly see that the Nest Street is quite a bit bigger than that. Yeah, that Canary folder, I'm really liking it. Perfect fifth pocket carry knife. But we're talking about this one, the Nest Street, $72.90. And it's not bad. Out of the two that we're going to be taking a look at, I will give you a spoiler alert. This one is the one I would have gone with. So that is the Nest Street from Kansept. Okay, this next one, not a fan of it, but we're going to take a look at it nonetheless. This is the Calibri Tech. All right. Now, this is actually designed by a gentleman who used to be in the French Army, if there even is such a thing. I guess he was a retired K9 officer. He goes by the name of Kamaxrum, and the name of his company is Kamaxrum Designs. Now, if you can't tell, this is a big goddamn knife. I would venture to call it a pocket sword. This one comes in at $185. It is full titanium, no liners, right? Yeah, no liners. Frame lock is your locking mechanism. Multiple forms of deployment. In the closed position, we got 5.55 inches. So you can imagine the size in the overall position. We've got these nice, slightly contoured scales, or rather handles, with some nice textured milling going on. They call this pattern the Kamaxrum design. Now let's talk about this atrocity. Look at this lanyard hole. I wonder how many weirdos you can fit in that fucking thing. It's huge, people. Now back to the deployment options. We've got thumb studs, this front flipper, and how about this? It's 2023, and companies are still giving us flippers with no jimping. Why, Kansept? All right, I'm gonna go thumb studs first. Woo! D10 is dialed in. She does fly out. Now, when it comes to disengagement, it definitely leaves to be desired. There is essentially 0 to no room for your disengagement. Granted, they did chamfer that lock bar. As far as the access goes, it's kind of in a weird position. It's kind of high and at an angle. Very reminiscent of the way Giant Mouse does their lock bar access. But it is buttery smooth. Now let's talk about the flipper. Like I mentioned, no jimping, but it is in a good position. I will give it that. You know, it does deploy the knife rather easily, but I can already feel myself wanting to slip off that flipper. Can only imagine things getting worse with sweaty hands. Now, as far as the front flipper goes, they didn't take the jimping up and over. As a matter of fact, they stopped short just of the top of it. And it's kind of in a weird position as far as your leverage goes. You know, I have a large size glove, rather a large glove size hand. And in order for me to try to get to that front flipper, I got to go up higher on the handle. And the first few times I kept hitting my index finger. So it's, you got to kind of make a conscious effort to not do that. But here it is in the open position. I do like the anodization on the hardware. The pocket clip is a milled titanium pocket clip that is not reversible. Right hand tip up carry only. I wish they would have matched up that blue with the hardware, but it is what it is. Overall length on this comes in at 9.89 inches. We've got 4.34 inches on our blade length and 137 thousandths on the blade stock. S35 VN is the steel, flat grind. However, it does get rather thick rather quickly behind that edge. Ergonomically speaking, we've got tons of room to get a full purchase on. I do not feel any hot spot. I can feel the pocket clip, but it does not give me a hot spot, at least in the brief time that I've been handling it. Still got this great action though, so I will give them credit for that. Overall weight on this came in at 4.8 ounces. All right, let's go ahead and put some comparisons up for this one. Now, like I mentioned, I was going to be talking about, well, first up, America First. This one is a recent acquisition that I just got yesterday, went in the pocket. And during the video, I talked about the, I kind of made mention to the pocket clip being in set. However, they had these, you know, these mushroom screws. Let me fucking tell you, people, this has been such a pain in the ass to pull out the pocket. Those screws grabbed the hem of my pocket, and I had on some shorts, so it wasn't a thick hem, and I had to use 2 fucking hands to pull this out of my pocket. So this is a problem, you know? So much so that I'm going to be looking for alternatives to try to replace those screws. But I digress. We can see here that the Colibri is still bigger than the Stitch, and the Stitch is a big-ass knife. Next up, another recent acquisition, one that I'm really high on, and that is coming from Flytanium, and that is the Arcade. So once again, that Colibri is bigger than that. Newsflash. Pretty much every knife we're taking a look at is going to be bigger than or going to be smaller than the Colibri. Next up, an offering from Miguron on their premium side of things, and that is going to be the Miguron Karaki 2. So we can see here that the Colibri, once again, is definitely bigger than that. How about some budget vibes? A fantastic offering from Petrified Fish, one that not enough people are talking about, in my opinion, and that's the Scalar. Still, once again, quite a bit smaller than the Colibri. Let's do 2 more. God damn it, 2 more. How about the OG, Sharif Manganis? This is his Ruckus design. Great knife. Speaking of the OG, he just went to production with his upcoming folder, which is going to be a Kaiser branded knife called the Kaimano. So congratulations to him on a successful pre-order. And still, once again, the Colibri is bigger than that. Last but certainly not least, how about Big Mama? You know her. You've seen her before. We're talking about the Spyderco Subvert. Customized, of course, by yours truly. And also smaller than the Colibri. So yeah, people, like I mentioned, this is a pocket sword. I wouldn't necessarily call it a pocket knife because it is a goddamn big one. Big old girl. But like I say, big girls need loving too. So out of these two, for sure, I am more inclined to recommend the Nest Street. Would have loved to have tried the premium version to the Nest Street, but nonetheless, you know, $70 knife essentially, 154 cm, liner lock. That's par for the course. But more importantly, what do you fuckers think? Are you fans of either of these knives? Are you a fan of Kansept Knives as a whole? Tell me all about it. Love you, mean it. Until the next time, cut something, cut someone, just don't cut yourself. Stay dangerous, fuckers!